Welcome to Adam's Twilight Stories, a space where imagination and intimacy intertwine. I'm your host, and I'll be guiding you through this introduction to our channel. What you're about to discover is a collection of immersive audio experiences designed to transport you into worlds of passion, connection, and desire. Our stories span different perspectives, different lives, and different fantasies, all told with respect, creativity, and an understanding of the intimate human experience. Before we begin, we want to emphasize that our content is created for adults seeking thoughtful, sensual narratives. While our stories explore passion in its many forms, they do so with care and artistic intent. Our visuals remain abstract and suggestive rather than explicit, allowing your imagination to craft the most powerful images. Adam's Twilight Stories offers a rotating collection of series, each with its own unique narrator and perspective. Every few days, a new story appears from one of our series, ensuring fresh content throughout your week. Each series explores different facets of desire, connection, and human experience. Some are gentle and romantic, others more intense or adventurous, but all are crafted with attention to emotional depth and authentic character development. The series our channel offers. Our first series explores the complex world of massage parlors through two contrasting perspectives. In The Hobbyist, we hear from a successful businessman whose occasional visits for relaxation evolved into a journey of self-discovery. Then, from the other side of the table, a massage worker shares how she reads the stories written in tense muscles and guarded conversations. These intimate encounters reveal vulnerabilities rarely displayed in the outside world.
I never intended to become a regular at these places. It started as curiosity, a remedy for loneliness during business trips. One rainy Tuesday in Seattle, I found myself walking into a place with frosted windows and a neon sign, seeking nothing more than relief for a persistent shoulder pain. 5 years later, I've experienced these encounters in cities across America, from high-end spas in Manhattan to modest storefronts in suburban strip malls. The connections I've found, however brief, have become a strange mirror reflecting parts of myself I never knew existed. I'm a business consultant by day, presentations, meetings, corporate strategies. I have a life that many would envy. Yet in these rooms, with their clean sheets and dim lighting, I've discovered vulnerabilities and desires that never surface in my professional world. Some sessions are purely physical, the skilled unwinding of tension, the simple pleasure of human touch. Others become something more complex, moments of unexpected emotional intimacy with someone I've just met. Each session tells a story about desire, connection, and the parts of ourselves we keep hidden. I've decided to share mine with you not as confession, not as boast, but as an honest exploration of a world that exists in plain sight, yet remains largely unseen.
They call me Lily now. It's not the name I was born with, but it's become mine over the years. For 5 years, I've worked with my hands in this city, learning to read bodies like maps, to understand tension and release without words. I came to America with dreams of becoming a physical therapist. Life had other plans. Now I work in a place with soft lighting and walls thin enough that I can hear my colleagues' murmured conversations with their clients. It's not what I imagined, but I found a strange dignity in my work. Each client brings their own story. The businessman carrying stress like armor, the athlete with injuries he won't acknowledge, the grieving widower who comes just to remember how human touch feels. Some clients come for relief, others for escape. Many return, becoming characters in the ongoing story of my life. I see how they look at me, sometimes with desire, sometimes with curiosity, sometimes with a strange combination of shame and longing. Few ever ask about my life, my journey, my dreams. They create stories about me in their minds, most of them far from the truth. They all leave something behind, a story, a confession, a piece of themselves. Through my eyes, you'll see the other side of these encounters. The humanity in a profession often judged but rarely understood. These are my stories from behind the massage table, where I've learned that hands can speak more honestly than words.
Confessions of a Call Girl. Beyond stereotypes and simplistic portrayals lies the reality of high-end companionship. Confessions of a Call Girl invites you into the world of an educated, articulate woman who chose this profession deliberately. Her journal entries reveal the surprising truth. Physical intimacy often takes a backseat to emotional labor, as she becomes confessor, therapist, and temporary escape for clients seeking connection as much as pleasure.
Society has its judgments, but reality has its truths. The first thing you should know, I chose this path. Not out of desperation, not as a last resort, but as a deliberate decision made with clear eyes. I have a master's degree in psychology. I speak 3 languages. I could be working in an office, climbing a corporate ladder, building the life everyone expects. Instead, I work nights. I meet strangers in hotel rooms. I become, for an hour or two, exactly who they need me to be. My clients include CEOs, politicians, professors, and once, a Nobel laureate. They come seeking different things. Some want only physical release, a simple transaction. Others want conversation, connection, the illusion of romance, without the complications. Many want confession, to be heard, truly heard, without judgment. In these moments, I'm less lover and more priest. What surprises most people? The emotional labor outweighs the physical. The real work isn't what happens in bed. It's understanding what each client truly seeks, often before they can articulate it themselves. I've been proposed to 4 times. I've been offered jobs, apartments, trips around the world. I've had clients cry in my arms over marriages ending, children estranged, opportunities missed. I've celebrated promotions, births, recoveries. Each client is a different universe, each appointment a different story. I've kept journals throughout my career, documenting not the physical details, but the human ones, the unexpected moments of connection, the confessions offered in the darkness, the masks that slip in moments of vulnerability. Through these confessions, I'll take you beyond stereotypes into the complicated reality of intimacy for hire. A world where nothing is quite as simple as it seems, least of all, me.
The professional, for those whose work demands emotional detachment, finding release becomes essential to survival. In the professional, a man who lives in the shadows of dangerous work shares how he maintains his humanity through brief, intense connections. These aren't love stories, but rather explorations of the primal need to reconnect with oneself after becoming someone else for the job.
In my line of work, emotions are a liability. Detachment is survival. My business card says security consultant. What that means changes depending on who's hiring. Sometimes it's corporate espionage. Sometimes it's debt collection. Sometimes it's work that doesn't leave a paper trail. I won't tell you my real name. I won't tell you where I'm based. Those details don't matter to the story. What matters is what happens after. After the job is done, after the adrenaline subsides, after I've become someone else for hours or days, and need to remember who I really am. The first time it happened was in Budapest. A job had gone sideways. Nothing catastrophic, but messy. I was wound tight, hyper-aware, seeing threats in every shadow. I couldn't come down, couldn't sleep, couldn't think straight. Then I met her in the hotel bar. We didn't share a language, but we didn't need one. Since then, it's become a ritual. The work demands coldness, calculation, control. The release afterward is the opposite. Raw, unthinking, immediate. Sometimes it's a stranger in a bar. Sometimes it's an arranged appointment. Sometimes it's someone who understands exactly what I do. Sometimes it's someone who believes the cover story. These encounters aren't about romance or even connection. They're about survival. The pressure valve that keeps me functioning. The line between my controlled, professional persona and these moments of release grows thinner each year. Sometimes I wonder which is the real me. These are the stories of those releases, the moments when control gives way to something primal and necessary, when the professional becomes human again, if only for a few hours.
The therapist after hours. By day, she holds space for others' pain and trauma. But after the office door locks, who holds space for her? The therapist after hours follows Dr. Elise Winters as she navigates the thin line between professional boundaries and personal needs. Her stories reveal how those who heal others must also find their own path to wholeness, sometimes through connections that exist entirely outside their carefully maintained professional world.
All day I listen. I hold space for trauma, fear, pain. I sit in my leather chair, maintain eye contact, offer tissues, and create a container safe enough for people to pour their darkest thoughts into. By evening, I'm filled with others' emotions, electric with unspent energy. My name is Dr. Elise Winters. I have a practice in a renovated Victorian house, with bay windows and creaking floors. My specialty is trauma recovery. My clients trust me with stories they've never told another living soul. The professional ethics are clear. I maintain boundaries. I am the container, not the friend. I don't share my personal struggles. I don't reveal my own wounds, though many mirror those I help heal in others. In session, I am calm, centered, present. I am the steady point around which chaos can safely orbit. But after my last client leaves, after I've straightened the pillows, written my notes, locked the front door, I become someone else. Someone with needs, desires, and a body humming with absorbed emotions seeking release. Sometimes I drive for hours with music blasting. Sometimes I dance alone in my living room until I collapse. And sometimes, I seek the kind of connection that requires no words, no analysis, no careful maintenance of boundaries. These encounters are my secret rebellion against the careful control I maintain all day, with a bartender who flirted just enough, with the artist I met at a gallery opening, with the occasional stranger passing through town, who knows nothing of my professional life. In these moments, I am not Dr. Winters. I am simply Elise, a woman reclaiming her body after hours of living in others' minds. These are my stories of finding balance in a profession that takes everything, of remembering that to help others heal, I must first remain whole myself.
The traveler. The constant movement of a nomadic life creates a unique relationship with intimacy. In The Traveler, a writer of authentic travel guides shares stories of connections made in the liminal spaces between destinations. These aren't tourist adventures, but rather genuine moments of connection with locals who briefly transform foreign places into something resembling home, with both parties knowing that tomorrow brings departure.
Different cities, different beds. I've woken up to sunlight filtering through unfamiliar curtains in 23 countries and counting. Hotel rooms with their anonymous comfort. Rented apartments with traces of someone else's life. The occasional guest room offered by a new acquaintance, who became, briefly, something more. I write travel guides for a living, not the mainstream ones with tourist traps and Instagram spots, but the ones that tell you where locals actually eat, drink, and gather. My job is to vanish into places, to become temporarily local enough to discover what doesn't make it into the brochures. This work means constant movement. 3 weeks in Barcelona, a month in Cape Town, 2 weeks in Bangkok. My permanent address is a storage unit and my sister's guest room between assignments. My life fits into 2 suitcases and a laptop bag. People often say they envy my freedom. What they don't understand is the peculiar loneliness of constant motion. The way you start craving connection precisely because nothing is permanent. Travel creates a suspension of ordinary rules, a permission to become someone slightly different. In Tokyo, I'm more reserved, attuned to the culture's subtle rhythms. In Rio, I'm louder, more physical, swept up in the city's sensuality. Each place pulls different aspects of myself to the surface. And in each place, inevitably, there are connections. The gallery owner in Amsterdam, who showed me parts of the city tourists never see. The chef in Marseille who taught me family recipes after hours in her kitchen. The photographer in Kyoto whose apartment overlooked a temple garden. These aren't holiday romances exactly. There's something more ephemeral. Moments of genuine connection in the beautiful limbo of elsewhere. Neither of us harboring illusions about forever. Both of us fully present precisely because tomorrow I'll be gone. These are my stories from the road, not just of places, but of the people who, for a brief time, made those places feel like home.
The gentleman's service. Turning traditional gender dynamics upside down. The gentleman's service follows Michael, an educated companion who specializes in meeting women's needs, both emotional and physical. His client list includes powerful executives, lonely widows, and women seeking what their relationships no longer provide. Through his eyes, we glimpse a world where female desire is complex, nuanced, and often misunderstood by popular culture.
I provide a service that goes beyond physical satisfaction. My clients call me Michael, though that's not the name on my birth certificate. I'm 42 years old. I dress well, bespoke suits, quality watches, nothing flashy. I can comfortably discuss art, politics, wine, or business. I can navigate a 7-course dinner with the right cutlery for each plate. And yes, I can provide physical pleasure with skill and attention to detail. I didn't plan this career. I was a graduate student in literature when I met her. A recently divorced professor, 20 years my senior, who invited me to a fundraising gala and slipped me cash for a proper suit. That night changed everything. I discovered I had a talent for making women feel seen, heard, desired, often for the first time in years. Word spread quietly, referrals came discreetly. Now my client list includes executives, wealthy widows, women trapped in marriages that exist on paper only, and those simply too busy for conventional relationships. Many assume my work is primarily physical. It isn't. Many of my appointments don't involve sex at all. I've attended symphony performances with clients whose husbands showed no interest in Moller. I've been a companion at charity events where appearing alone would invite unwanted questions. I've spent evenings simply talking with women whose partners have forgotten how to listen. Understanding women, their desires, their fantasies, their need for connection, that's my true expertise. Many of my clients are powerful women accustomed to controlling every aspect of their lives. With me, they can surrender that control, knowing they remain completely safe and respected. Every appointment tells a story about female desire that contradicts what popular culture would have us believe. These stories open the door to a profession few truly understand and offer a glimpse into aspects of women's lives rarely discussed openly. This isn't Pretty Woman in reverse. It's more complex, more human, and often more intimate than most would imagine.
51st Encounters. The first intimate experience with someone new contains a universe of emotions, vulnerability, anticipation, awkwardness, and sometimes surprising connection. 51st Encounters presents these moments from both male and female perspectives. A man who's learned to find beauty in imperfection, and a cultural anthropologist who documents these encounters as a study in human connection at its most vulnerable.
They say the first time with someone new is never perfect. The awkward dance of discovering another body, the vulnerability of being naked with a stranger, the fumbling with clasps and buttons, the hesitation before crossing thresholds, the unspoken question, will this disappoint? I used to dread these moments. In my 20s, I approached first encounters like performances, Rehearsed lines, practiced moves, a carefully constructed persona designed to impress. Now at 36, I found beauty in these imperfect beginnings, these awkward, electric moments of discovery. I've learned to be present rather than perfect, to communicate rather than assume, to find humor in the inevitable missteps. Each first time tells a unique story. There was Emma, who needed to fold her clothes neatly before she could relax. Sophia, who couldn't maintain eye contact during intimacy, but wrote poetry about it after. Jasmine, whose professional confidence vanished in the bedroom, revealing a vulnerability she showed no one else. Some first times led nowhere, pleasant encounters that remained singular memories. Others became relationships, the awkward first time becoming an origin story we laughed about later. A few changed the direction of my life entirely. Through these stories, some told from my perspective, others from my partner's, you'll remember your own first times. The nervousness, the anticipation, the occasional disaster, and the surprising moments of unexpected connection that made even the imperfect experiences worthwhile.
I keep a journal of first times. Not explicitly for the physical details, though those are part of it, but for everything else, the circumstances, the emotions, the surprises both pleasant and otherwise. As a cultural anthropologist, I'm fascinated by human rituals. And first intimate encounters are among our most revealing rituals, moments when social masks slip, when vulnerability and desire overcome carefully constructed personas. There was my first lover at 19, both of us learning through trial and error. The divorced professor who approached sex with scientific curiosity. The artist who treated my body like a canvas. The woman who showed me that everything I thought I knew about pleasure was just the beginning. My colleagues publish academic papers. I document human connection in its most intimate form. Not for publication, certainly not for academic credit, but to understand something essential about how we connect in our most vulnerable moments. First times contain multitudes. Vulnerability, courage, disappointment, surprise, the careful negotiation of boundaries, the tentative exploration of desire, the moment when theoretical attraction becomes physical reality. Through my experiences, sometimes awkward, sometimes transcendent, you'll remember the beautiful uncertainty of new connection, how we reveal ourselves in these moments in ways we never do in ordinary conversation.
Best friend's mother. Some boundaries once crossed transform all relationships that touch them. In Best Friend's Mother, a young man returns home from college to discover his best friend's recently separated mother in a new light. What begins as innocent conversation evolves into a summer of secret encounters, forcing him to navigate the complex territory between loyalty to friendship and an attraction that reveals adults as more complex than he ever imagined.
It started the summer after freshman year of college. I was 19, home for the break, spending afternoons at my best friend Ryan's pool while he was at football practice. His mother would bring iced tea, make casual conversation. Mrs. Andrews, Diane, was 42, recently separated, and nothing like the mothers I'd grown up around. She asked about my classes, my ambitions, my thoughts on books she was reading. She listened in a way adults rarely listen to someone my age. She treated me like an equal, not a child. I found myself looking forward to these conversations more than I cared to admit. The day it changed was ordinary. Late July, humid, the buzz of cicadas in the trees. Ryan called to say practice was running long. His mother and I were alone in the kitchen. She was cutting limes for drinks. Our hands touched, reaching for the same glass. A moment of hesitation, a question in her eyes. Some boundaries once crossed change everything. The secrecy created its own charge. Stolen moments when Ryan was out, hushed conversations, the constant awareness of betraying a friendship that had existed since childhood. The summer became a fever dream of guilt and discovery. She knew things no one my age could know, about touch, about patience, about the weight of real decisions. I learned about desire entwined with consequences, about the complexity of adults I'd previously seen in only one dimension. These stories explore the complexity of forbidden attraction, of crossing lines that perhaps shouldn't be crossed, and finding something unexpected on the other side. They're about desire complicated by loyalty, about growing up too quickly in some ways, and not quickly enough in others. Every story has multiple sides. You'll hear mine as I experienced it then, and understand it now, years later. Some lessons can only be learned by making mistakes you can never fully regret.
College friend's father. Winter break becomes a season of awakening when a college junior accepts an invitation to her friend's family home. College friend's father explores the allure of experience as a young woman discovers a connection with her friend's literature professor father. Their intellectual conversations by firelight evolve into something more, revealing the complicated dynamics when youth and experience collide, and the lasting impact of relationships with built-in expiration dates.
It happened during winter break of my junior year. Emily had invited me to spend the holidays with her family in their lake house in Vermont. A gesture of kindness since my own family was scattered across continents. I met her parents before, briefly, during move-in day freshman year, but those had been hurried introductions amid boxes and goodbyes. Living in their home was different. Dr. Richards, James, was nothing like I'd expected. In his early 50s, he was a literature professor with perpetually ink-stained fingers and reading glasses he was always misplacing. He spoke about books as if they were living things. He asked questions and actually listened to the answers. He treated me like an intellectual equal in a way many of my professors never did. The house would grow quiet in the evenings. Emily and her mother went to bed early. He and I would stay up, discussing authors, theories, ideas. The conversations flowing from the dining room to his study, where first editions lined the shelves and a fire kept the winter at bay. I won't romanticize what happened. I knew exactly what I was doing the night I lingered in the doorway instead of heading upstairs. I was 21. Not a child, though certainly naive in ways I only recognized later. He was everything the boys my age weren't. Established, confident, complicated. He didn't play games or send confusing texts or fear emotional intimacy. He carried complexity earned through decades of living, failed ambitions, compromises, achievements, regrets. Our time together lasted just those 2 weeks, a relationship with a built-in expiration date. When we returned to campus, we both understood it couldn't continue. The experience existed in its own isolated bubble of time and place. These stories explore the allure of experience, the thrill of being truly seen by someone unexpected. They're about crossing generational divides and discovering that age creates differences that are both exactly what you seek and more complicated than you imagined. They're also about power, the kind that shifts in unexpected ways between youth and experience, between established authority and new possibility. And ultimately, they're about decisions that shape you in ways you never anticipated.
Each series will unfold story by story, week by week. You might find yourself drawn to certain narrators, certain perspectives. Perhaps you'll discover unexpected resonance with experiences different from your own. We invite you to subscribe and join us on this journey through the landscape of human connection and desire. New stories arrive every few days, each one an invitation to explore different facets of intimacy. Thank you for joining us at Adam's Twilight Stories, where passion finds its voice.